Wife's friend wants me to fire someone to hire her, then sabotages a different job interview because it's beneath her. This one went from 0 to 100 pretty quickly. For some backstory, I own a small business and our team are absolute rock stars. These are good people who could walk away at any time and land another job in minutes. We survived the pandemic that must not be named on Reddit with no layoffs, no reduction in pay, except for me, and transitioned to a 100% work at home, which remains in place. The savings we enjoyed by not renewing our lease actually helped us out a lot. We've worked together for a long time, with the least senior person being with us 7 years. A friend of my wife, I'll call her Stacy, is a complainer. She's one of those people who aren't happy unless they're not happy. My ever-patient wife, as demonstrated by putting up with me for 30 years, does her best to cheer her up. Last December, Stacy put in a vacation request for the week Christmas, a week before Christmas, when everybody else had already put in their request and was approved. Her request was denied, and she thought she would leverage the situation by quitting, only to discover they processed her voluntary termination after she went home. It's now May, and she's been out of work. She and other friends were visiting last Sunday for one of my wife's wine and crafts nights among her friends. Making small talk in the kitchen, I asked how her job search was going and she said it was going poorly. Then she asked me for a job. I didn't mind the ask. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. However, we're not hiring right now and I told her as much. Then she said, "You know I'm a hard worker. I actually don't. Why not fire someone and hire me?" It took me a second to process this before I explained our staff has been together for almost a decade, and I can't do that, to which she replied, "You're the owner. You can do anything you want." No. I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek's Leaders Eat Last. A BS move like that would destroy the trust of the team. I apologized and made a quick exit before the conversation could continue. On Monday, I happened to be on the phone with another small business owner in town, I'll call him Bob, who said he was down a couple of people. I remembered Stacy's request. I told Bob what little I know about her work life, and he said to have her call. I told my wife, who passed it along to Stacy. Fast forward to today, Bob calls me. He led with, "How well do you know Stacy?" I was a little nervous, not looking to vouch for her, but also not wanting to torpedo her opportunity, so gave the best non-answer answer I could come up with. Bob then burst into laughter, explaining that his interview with Stacy lasted less than 45 minutes because she kept trying to interview not for the job he had available, but for other positions he already has filled. I apologized, and things are okay with Bob and I, but holy crap did this go south quickly. Now for the top comments. Now the petty in me would ask her how the interview went, so you can hear her side of her BS. Not just the petty in me. I would genuinely do that, because I had referred her and it would show at least some effort on my side. On top of that, it would give me great insight into her character past the previous 3 royal screw-ups she made. Why prolong your contact with this woman though? I'm concerned your wife is friends with her. He recommended a job opportunity to her after asking a business associate to give her an opportunity, and she blew it by being embarrassing. I would want to get a better read on her in case she name drops him as a reference down the road, which I wouldn't put past her. My wife sees her about 10 times a year when she and my sister-in-law host their monthly, mostly wine and some crafts get-together, so I'm not too worried. Make sure your wife and sister-in-law know the true story. She may have a sob story she starts spreading around they need to counter. I'm not worried. First, because my wife was the first one I told this story to. Second, over our 30 years of marriage, we've learned to talk to each other before making up our minds. I had a similar experience with an acquaintance who volunteered at a local hospital. She signed people in and out of the employee exercise area, wiped down the machines, and cleaned the place up at the end of the day. The hospital hired a new doctor to work in the ER. His wife was a cardiac nurse. She sold the hospital on the idea of turning the employee gym into a cardiac rehab unit. The volunteer believed that she got fired because a doctor's wife wanted her job. I tried to explain that this woman came with a plan to create an income-generating program from space that was rarely being used. Her reply was, "I could do that." I said the new hire was really highly trained in the field. She said, if they just tell me what they want me to do, I could do it. She could not understand that her being told to do something was not just as good as someone who knew what to do without being told. I never convinced her. It's the hardest thing in the world, and it takes great humility to stop blaming others and to start looking critically at yourself, at where you fell short of what you could have done, owning it, and working to improve. I did a harsh self-inventory recently, and I was disappointed in myself. I guess it's growth, but I'm having a hard time forgiving myself. So much wasted time and energy on the wrong things and people. Oh well, I'm just going to get back up in life. But man, that was harsh. Next story. My coworker's mom called me at work because her sweet boy had to stay late. So this happened last week, but I still think about it sometimes and feel both secondhand rage and pity. A new guy joined my team at the start of last month, who we will call Sam. Sam is a quiet guy, early 30s, polite to a fault, always looking over his shoulder like he's about to get in trouble. At first I thought he was just shy, but within a week, I figured something was off. He'd get these phone calls every 30 minutes, like clockwork. Eventually, I asked him if everything was okay. That's when he admitted it was his mother. She needed to know what he was doing at all times, like, literally, where are you sitting? What are you eating? Who are you talking to? Type updates. He said he was raised that way and just never broke the habit. I could see him shrink into himself every time she called, like the life got sucked out of him in real time. Anyway, it's the month end and we had to stay back late to wrap up some department reporting. Everyone stayed a couple extra hours. It was quiet. We were all working. And suddenly Sam's phone rings again. He steps outside. 2 minutes later, he comes back inside looking white as a sheet and says, "Hey, Mr. Coco, my mom wants to speak with you." I thought he was joking. He was not. He looked like he was about to cry. I took the call out of sheer disbelief. And oh boy, I wish I hadn't. This woman unleashed on me. How dare you make my son work past office hours? He needs to come home and rest. You don't know what he's been through. Don't you know how dangerous the roads are? I was too stunned to even respond properly. I just said, "Ma'am, I think Sam can explain the situation better," and handed the phone back. And that's when something amazing happened. Sam finally snapped. He didn't yell, but his voice was steady. "I need this job, Mom. You can't keep doing this. I'm staying late because that's my responsibility, and everyone is here too. Please just stop." It was quiet for a second, and then he just ended the call. Honestly, I was proud of him. I know how hard it is to stand up to your parents, especially when they tried to control you your whole life. We wrapped up an hour later. I offered to take him out for a cold drink just to decompress, and he looked like someone who had finally removed a 20-year-old weight off his chest. But when I dropped him off near his house, he gave me a small, awkward smile and just said, "Thanks, tonight's going to be rough." I haven't heard his mom's voice since then, but he still gets those calls. Just less frequently now. I really hope he makes it out okay. Some cages don't even have bars. You just carry them in your head. Some cages don't even have bars. You just carry them in your head. Words of wisdom for every young adult trying to make their way in the world. This is good advice. My dad was telling me I'm not college material and that I can't do it, and he tries to dictate so much of my life. If college was that hard, then millions of people wouldn't have been able to do it. Sometimes it takes creativity, sometimes it takes hard work, but it doesn't take smarts. The amount of people who actually know how to work hard are vanishingly few, but it's easy to learn when you're truly doing it for yourself. You should offer to ban phone use at work except during breaks or lunch. At least he would have peace for a few hours. That poor bastard. What a sad life. I would, but then I would have to ban my own phone as well, haha. But jokes aside, I know it would just be harder for him to manage his issue. He's a great employee and a better person. I just hope he can stand for himself by using this as a platform. His mom doesn't have to know what the rules are. You can say legitimately that you see him distracted by his phone during work time as a reason. I would at least offer it. My pushy Korean mom did this to me when I was 19. I was working at an Urban Outfitters, and they used to close at like 10, which meant on Saturday nights sometimes we didn't get to leave the store until 1 or 2 a.m. My mom literally came to the store at midnight and demanded to talk to my manager to let me go home. I was so embarrassed I angrily told her to go home and continued to close out. She never pulled that nonsense on me ever again, and I do wonder now if it's because I stuck up for myself in that moment. Oh geez, this reminds me of a story I still laugh about years later. It regards a Chinese mom. I am Korean, but I didn't grow up in a Korean family, so I generally haven't had the tiger mom thing inflicted on me. My son is a musician and was in band during high school. He always did all-region auditions, and this happened his senior year. 2 other moms from the same school, the Chinese one and a white mom, had come to support our kids. We were sitting in the cafeteria, waiting for them to finish, and the Chinese mom said she was going to leave because there were still several hours to wait. She said she had to tell her son she was leaving, but didn't know where he was. She said she was going to go look in all the classrooms until she found him. The other mom and I looked at each other in disbelief. We said, "You can't do that. That will interrupt the auditions and could negatively affect his rating, much less piss off the judges." But she said, "How will he know I left?" We said, because he will come out and you won't be there. He has a phone. He can call you." This kid was not helpless. He would have figured it out immediately. She kept saying, "I can't leave without telling him where I went." It was really kind of weird, but this mom was known for doing that sort of stuff. My son said that in summer band camp, she would come walking in with his lunch and start yelling for him. It was a joke among the kids. I also heard that in middle school, she would eat with him for lunch, common among many parents, but she would spoon-feed him in front of all his classmates. Ultimately, we convinced her to leave without finding him. I think we said we'd tell him where she went. When he went to college, he chose 1-2 states away. Last story. Am I the a-hole for sending my roommate only a third of our monthly rent? I, 21 male, moved in with my roommate, 23 male, last year. He is the older brother of my close friend who knew I was looking for a place, so he told me his older brother is also looking for a roommate. I don't have any formal agreements and I'm not on the lease. I have been sending my roommate half of the monthly rent and utilities for the last 8 months, always on time. Me and my roommate share food for the most part. No one goes overboard, but we are both fine with the other eating some of the items we buy. We are also in a kind of cycle where we take turns buying food, groceries, cleaning products, and we never really have had to ask the other to replenish anything. However, in February of this year, he got a new girlfriend who started staying over a few nights a week, which was perfectly fine. And she seemed cool, but since April, she has been staying here every single day and every single night. I am still paying 50% of the rent and utilities and groceries. We only have 1 bathroom, and she is in there anywhere from 1 to 3 hours per day. She also uses our food, like the bread I buy, meats, vegetables, snacks, and it all disappears a lot faster. It has been annoying me, but I've been letting it slide. I started keeping a lot more of my food and drinks in my room. But earlier this month, I noticed that an entire can of Pringles I kept in my room and 2 of my protein bars had disappeared. I know I didn't eat them, so when they went out, I also went into their room and found the Pringles in their trash can and my protein bars on her nightstand on her side of the bed, so I know it was her. But the final straw was on Tuesday of this week when there was some Greek yogurt in the fridge. I used maybe 1/4 of it to make a dessert, and later that day she extremely overreacted, opening the door to my room and started yelling at me to never again eat her Greek yogurt and called me a retard. Anyway, it's time for the month's rent. And I'm over it and ended up sending him only a third of the month's rent, and he asked why it was short, and I told him I'm not going to be covering her utilities, food, etc. He told me that's not how it works, and I have until the 31st to send him the rest of the rent. Otherwise, he's going to kick me out, and made sure to remind me I'm not on the lease. It would be mad annoying and inconvenient to have to find a new place, so I need to know if I am overreacting. Not the a-hole. Honestly, you shouldn't have let it go on so long, and you should address the fact that he or she went into your private room. I would let him know that since you've been there over 30 days, you are a tenant, and he can't kick you out. You would have to be evicted. You have already paid for his girlfriend for months, which was not the agreement. She needs to spend no more than 2 nights a week or pay her share if she is going to stay, and they both need to stay the heck out your room. You're not overreacting, but you should have sat down with him and had this conversation before it got to this point. You still can. Just approach him in a more productive way. Tell him you'll do half this time, but explain all the ways in which it should be a third, and tell him that this needs to change one way or the other, particularly the utilities. The fact that you can't use the bathroom, a basic part of living somewhere, because she is always in it, and the fact that your food is always disappearing, and the one time you had something of hers, she freaked out on you. You aren't on the lease, but most likely he is illegally subletting to you, and you have a little bit of power in that you can let his landlord know what's going on. You living there, and the girlfriend basically living there now too, and causing problems. However, don't do that unless you are prepared for the consequences of going nuclear. The landlord could kick you out, but he'd probably kick out your roommate too, and things would be irreparable there. So try a nicer, potentially productive way first, because there probably is a way to solve this. But yeah, if he still says he's kicking you out and isn't listening, you should find a new place and then talk to the landlord. It's pretty messed up of your roommate. Also, in most states, lease or not, you've been there long enough to have established residency, and he cannot legally just kick you out without proper legal notice to vacate. Look up your state's tenancy laws if it comes to that. This is likely correct, but non-payment of rent is the easiest way to kick a tenant out, which means the agreed to amount of rent. OP probably needs to start looking for a new place to live. The tenant broke the agreement with OP by allowing a third party to come live there for free. OP can drag this on and get the tenant in trouble with his landlord if it comes to it. And then what? The landlord kicks them both out? Is OP really going to blackmail his roommate into reducing rent under the threat of mutually assured destruction? Besides, I highly doubt the verbal agreement he had with his roommate included a no girlfriends being over too often provision. OP needs to either find a new place or have a friendly discussion with his roommate about agreed upon boundaries.